This video stems from a previous video of mine on which my good friend Professor Anita Charles had put up a question asking, will water evaporate from clothes hung outside if they are frozen below freezing temperatures?
Anita is Senior Lecturer and Director of Secondary Teacher Education at Bates and previously taught high school English for over 10 years. In the past, she has taught a wide variety of ages and abilities, from first graders in Jersey City, New Jersey, through adult learners, teaching subjects as diverse as French and alternative education programming. As a Fulbright scholar in India in 2016 and again in 2023, Anita taught undergraduates and explored issues of literacy and inclusion in PREK 12 schools and programs. Subsequent to her first Fulbright, she engaged in research on inclusive education for children with disabilities in India. Thanks to a Bates-specific Phillips Fellowship, she recently conducted a study on education non-profits in sub-Saharan Africa. She has a long-time connection to India. 3 of her 5 children were adopted from India.
You had written a comment,
Yes,
and you were asking what happens when it's below freezing point.
correct.
So at that time also, will there be evaporation?
Right.
So did you find the answer to it? And what's your experience?
Do not know the answer to that question. I come from a very cold place in the United States. Maine gets a lot of snow and a lot of freezing temperatures, and there have been many days in my life when I have run outside with wet hair and it freezes and it crackles and
Yes.
crackles and it sounds like icicles. And I have on occasion seen people with clothing out on a line and the clothing has been frozen stiff.
Yeah.
And I have always wondered whether it's possible to have your clothing dry, have the evaporation happen while those clothes are on the line. It feels impossible to me.
Have you tried it out?
I have not tried it out.
Why not so many years?
Well, that's a good point. I grew up in a cold climate and should have probably tested it at least once. But I think we've always used clothes dryers in the wintertime.
Yes.
I hang clothes out in the summertime.
In the summertime, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. So, what I have found out about it, it set me thinking. Even I never thought about that. So I read up on that, and what I found out is that evaporation takes place at all temperatures.
Okay. So even when those clothes are on the line drying very cold temperatures.
Yes. Now, yes. So it is already freezing point. Now even the clothes, whatever moisture in it is also frozen. So it's
Exactly.
turned icy, and that's why the clothes become so stiff.
Then how does evaporation take place?
So there is something called sublimation, where even ice converts directly into vapor. When solid converts into vapor, that is sublimation.
Sublimation is the process in which a substance changes directly from a solid to a gas without passing through the liquid state. This occurs under specific temperature and pressure conditions, such as with dry ice state.
And evaporation depends on a number of factors, including the temperature, the pressure of the place, which means atmospheric pressure, air pressure,
Okay.
and also wind.
Okay.
So if it's a windy day,
Yes.
even in the summers when you put it out, if it's a windy day, sunny day, then the clothes dry very quickly.
Right.
So it depends on the wind, pressure, and the temperature.
Okay.
Factors affecting the rate of evaporations is 1. Temperature then 2. Humidity of the air then 3. Wind or breeze then 4. Surface area and 5. Pressure of tomb day. The environment.
Now when it is freezing temperatures or even below that, as you must be having in your place,
Right.
it will be very slow,
Yes, it must be much slower then.
much too slow.
Yes.
So that if you are waiting and thinking that the ice is going to now sublimate and then I can bring down dry clothes, it might take ages. It might not happen at all. Some part of it will evaporate.
But it will take a very
But
long
it will,
time.
yes, and then also, so then also there is no guarantee and there is no telling when it will happen.
Okay.
So better to dry them in.
So maybe I had the right answer all along to dry my clothes in the dryer in the wintertime.
Yes.
Or inside, near a heat
Absolutely.
source.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's a good answer. I didn't think it could possibly happen. It didn't seem to me that the water could leave the garment if it were frozen.
So in my brief time in the
Yes.
US, I also found out that even the hair will become
hair,
like
yes.
Medusa's. That
Yes.
if it's not dried properly, it becomes all stiff.
Yes.
And clothes, if they have not been put through the dryer, suppose they've been left out in the garage
Exactly.
or something,
Exactly.
and you're taking it out of the
Right.
washing machine,
Exactly.
it comes out all like logs of wood.
Exactly. So I also have another question, which
Yes.
is that when I've gone out with long hair and wet hair and it freezes, I always wonder whether if I take it, would it snap? Like ice snaps, but would it also snap my hair in with it? Would it break the hair?
I suppose that depends on the strength of your hair and how much strand there is in it. If it's a thick hair with say you plaited it,
Yes.
or you've got a bunch of thick hair, I'm sure it's not going to snap.
I think I've tried that experiment before, and I'm pretty sure it does not snap. But you're probably right, it depends on
how much hair is in that strand,
yeah.
and the strength of the hair.
Right, right.
So if you have thin hair like me,
Yeah.
it'll probably snap.
But there's no water in hair, right? Correct? So if there's no water in hair, it wouldn't freeze necessarily. Like if you're out in the very cold weather with dry hair, it doesn't.
That will not happen. But when you have washed your hair,
right,
and then your hair has absorbed water, that moisture freezes.
So I suppose it could snap if there were.
Yes, so that is when you will see even the nasal passages freeze over.
Okay,
right?
That's right. There's a lot of moisture in the nose.
Inside, so even that can freeze over.
Yes.
And actually, if you are going out and going to be out for a very long time in those temperatures, you had better put a scarf around
Yes.
your mouth and nose.
That's right, which is what we do when we go out in the very cold winter.
So that was an interesting discussion.
Yes.
And please keep the comments coming.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having responded and put up this very interesting. That's what the comment section is for.
Yeah, thank
so
you.
So that we keep the discussion going.
I have wondered about that all my life, really, even though I lived in a cold place and could probably have tested the theory, but I'm glad to finally get an answer.
I'll put up a graph that shows, how it goes.
Yeah, great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Conclusion 1. Wring out as much water as you can from wet cloths. If you are using a washing machine, then maybe you can use a faster spin cycle too. Hang out cloths in the morning to get the maximum benefit of the sun's intensity. 3. If there is a breeze, or the day is windy, evaporation will be quicker. 4. Moving around and rotating damp cloths will expose maximum surface area for drying cloths. 5. In case there is frost or snow on the cloths, shake it off, and let the cloths catch as much of the sun rays as possible. Putting cloths out to dry, even in freezing temperature, means bacteria and germs get killed.